Good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic. I'm your host, Neil Johnson. Folks, at this point, this Kilmar Abrego Garcia story has gotten so wild. It's all I want to cover because it has so much legs, and it just proves how foolish the Democrat Party and the mainstream media is. In fact, you have to wonder if this is a running bet going on inside the Trump White House at this point. You know, maybe Susie Wiles walks in on a conversation they're having, and Trump says, "I bet I can." And they're like, "No way." "Oh, you want to place some money on it? Sure, let's place $100 on it." And then Susie's like, "What are you guys betting on?" And they're like, "Trump just bet me that he could get the media and the Democrat Party to throw their full weight behind a wife beater, an MS-13 gang member. Not only that, we could get Democrat politicians to fly down to El Salvador to meet with him and expose his MS-13 tattoos." No, I'm not kidding. Wait till you hear what Stephen Miller has to say.
Is the president going to ask for him to be returned to the United States or not? Like, yes or no?
Let me ask you, so what do you think would happen to him if he came back to this country? As your understanding of immigration laws, what do you think would happen?
But I'm just asking at this point about whether or not
you're asking a lot of questions.
The president,
you are all asking a lot of questions about this, and you all seem to care about it a lot. So let's see if any of you have researched anything about this issue at all.
So Stephen Miller is a genius. And what I really like about this is how he turns the tables on the media. He's going to make them look like complete fools. But understand the questions he's asking them. Do you even understand the issue you're talking about?
Can anyone here tell me what would happen to the illegal alien from El Salvador if he came back to the United States? Does anyone here know? Does anyone want to guess? Any of you?
He could be with his family.
Look at how they try to play to our heartstrings. He could be with his family.
Do you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you know the difference? Any of you, please. Do you? Well, we're not in the government.
This is so beautiful. Now he has them backpedaling. They say we're not in the government. Do you need to be in the government to understand definitions?
But you couldn't even spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even though you've been writing and talking about it this whole time. What I'm getting from this conversation, which is educational for me, is that not one person in the media knows the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order. Is that a fair statement? You're learning about this all for the first time right now? I guess so. Okay. So the deportation order means the judge has said he must be deported from the country. He has no right to remain here any longer. He must be removed from the country. So his only options are to be deported to his home country or another country. That's it. There's no other option. He doesn't get to stay here. He doesn't get to live here. He has no future here. He has no right to be here. He's an illegal alien. So when you keep saying return, because you've been spun up by the open borders advocates, you all seem to be operating under the illusion that he would be able to come to the United States and just continue to live here illegally. That's not an option available to him. His only choices in life are to live in El Salvador or to live in another country. That's it. There's no other option, legally or otherwise, because he came to our country illegally. Do you understand that? He would be arrested. Okay. He'd be put in confinement. He would be deported the second time to El Salvador again because there's no withholding order for an alien who's a member of a foreign terrorist organization, number one. Number two is the gang that he's a member of doesn't exist in El Salvador anymore. So what you're asking for is to be deported twice. But additionally, if we chose to just pretend that the withholding order was real, he would be deported to a different country. So, for example, he could be deported to Egypt. So I'm just trying to understand, is it your view, in other words, you define a country that would be willing to take a MS-13 member from El Salvador. So I'm trying to understand from you all is, so if he came back and under our laws, he was then deported to Egypt or to Somalia, would you then be saying, great, I'm so glad that you deported him to another country? Is that what you'd all be saying?
Do you get it now? The other countries don't want him. And even if they did, say Somalia took him in, you could probably pay Somalia and they take him in. Do you think that the mainstream press here, all the open border advocates, would be going, yay, Somalia, let's send him over there. Let's let some warlords deal with him. Really? Do you think he's safer in Somalia or the El Salvadorian prison? Where is he safer? Where do you want him to go? Because he has no place here. He's an illegal alien. Quit acting like this guy hasn't broken our laws. He broke our laws the instant that he became an illegal alien. Furthermore, he's driving without a license. I mean, you and I, we would get arrested for that. We'd get put in jail. But the FBI told the Tennessee Highway Patrol that they had to let him go. But now let's watch Scott Jennings drop some truth bombs on CNN.
Van Hollen posted a picture of him sitting with Abrego Garcia at a table.
I see these pictures tonight, and I think, boy, the party of women is really covering itself in glory tonight. I mean, I don't understand why the American left falls in love with the worst people. You've got a gang-banging, human-trafficking, wife-beating illegal alien, and a United States senator in a ludicrous display of energy is in El Salvador having Mai Tais and Yahtzee. I do not get it. I do not understand why the left takes on the heroes.
The part of this,
because it's impossible to get, except for the fact that they thought they could get Trump on this, and instead Trump seems to have allowed them enough leash to go out and basically hang themselves. It is wild.
I think
he has an adjudicated deportation order, and you have Democrat public officials falling all over themselves trying to get him back here without thinking through the next step, which is he's literally going to be deported somewhere else.
But he did have due process. Everything we know about him is documented because he did go through the court systems. He was stopped for trafficking. His wife did file these domestic violence charges against him. He was arrested with MS-13 members with a roll of cash that had the eyes and the ears and the mouths of the presidents erased, which is an MS-13 markings. This is all non-disputed.
Average American looking at this case, a lot of conflicting information. Okay, I believe some, I don't believe. An illegal alien came here in 2011, and somehow in 2025, he's still here after having been through the court system, after having been arrested with lots of people in his car, after having all this evidence.
Why didn't Donald Trump deport him?
He just did, and now everybody's mad about
Why
it.
didn't
How
Donald
did an
Trump
illegal
deport
alien
him?
take advantage of our system for 14
Why
years
didn't
and
Donald
not
Trump
get
deport
away?
him?
Do you see what they're doing now? They're doing this kind of bait and switch. So now they've given up on the fact because, look, it's documented. The guy has all these problems, right? But then why didn't Trump deport him before? So now it's Trump's fault still because he didn't get it done soon enough. But they would have been complaining then. This is wild to watch. But you have to see now what his wife said about the allegations she had against him.
And I know this is a sensitive question, but I have to ask it. You did take out a temporary order of protection against your husband in 2021. Were you in fear of your husband?
My husband is alive. That's all I can say.
Okay, and you know, I'm not going to push on that apparently. But
So if you were counting, that was a 6-second pause before she answered. And then you see that Michael Strahan gives it all up. So much for journalism, right? I mean, we're at the point where now, so long as, well, I mean, it's too sensitive. We're just not going there. She's out raising money on GoFundMe with pictures like this, where she conveniently uses hearts to cover up his MS-13 gang tattoos, which we saw because Chris Van Hollen had to go down there to El Salvador and meet with him and have Mai Tais, okay? And you can see on his hand, that's the MS-13 gang tattoo. So it starts on the index finger with the marijuana, that's the M. The S is the smiley face or skull that they'll put next, and then the number's 13. So this is an MS-13 guy. And we know that because of Chris Van Hollen, but folks, you need to find someone who looks at you the way Democrats look at a wife-beating MS-13 gang member. That's right. This is wild, but they are out there defending this. It is unbelievable that Trump actually has these people coming out in full tilt support of this. Not only that, we're finding out that Democrats want illegal immigrants to pick their vegetables, to pick their cotton, to clean their homes, to wait on their tables. I mean, the whole thing is a racist trope by the Democrat Party, and it's absolutely wild. But you know what's really wild? Those new Rev 7 energy drinks from Mike Lindell over at mypillow.com/lumberjack. You will love them. No caffeine, no crash. Help your mental clarity. They're phenomenal. Go check them out at mypillow.com/lumberjack or just call the 800 number at 1-800-568-2865. We'll see you on the next episode, folks. Peace out.